The stories of video games are largely considered separate from their gameplay components, said perhaps most famously by John Carmack in David Kushner's Masters of Doom. Story in a game is like story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not that important. The early Doom games had stories, technically by the strictest sense of the word, but it was really never the priority. Shooting demons makes for more than enough fun without being bogged down by cutscenes or text, additions that would just serve to delay the action. Not to say, however, that there's absolutely no story to speak of, it's just hardly spoken of in-game, and, well, I won't waste time in the video explaining it here any further either. Another game with minimal story is Dwarf Fortress. It's a game that's truly epic in proportion, but being a roguelike where the entire world is randomly generated, has no established canon. Again, not to say there isn't any story to speak of, but rather than being written by any person, it's instead simulated by the game and generated spontaneously. The whole story is affected by the actions of the inhabitants in the game, so the dwarves, elves, and others like that, but it's simulated clear down to the limb. It's possibly the closest approximation of a real world ever put to code and been released as a game. It's really incredible. The thing is, like Doom's story, it's not exactly one you'd want to read, but instead of pretty much lacking a story altogether, it's quite the opposite. It's just a list of facts in the game, which makes high school textbooks look like genre fiction with how dense it is. Minecraft, in a similar vein, is a game with almost no story. Sure, it has a text crawl at the end and some environmental storytelling, but like Dwarf Fortress, with its randomly generated worlds, its story is never set. Now, I don't mean to discredit the importance of story in games. It's an important aspect, and it's a core tenet of modern game design. But instead, I'm trying to invite you to think about story in video games differently, not just viewing it from the actual in-game diegetic story, but from the story the game itself tells through gameplay and interaction with the player. Storytelling in video games can be told through a variety of ways, given its inherent openness as a medium. Text, cutscenes, and the ever-popular in video essays environmental storytelling are all different ways of conveying games' narratives. Really, the ways to do it are innumerable, but the one that gets often ignored and one of my favorites is the story of the gameplay itself, either through interaction with the player or interaction with the game's systems. Many games, including the ones that I've previously listed, are legendary for a variety of reasons. Some of them have been real progenitors in their genre, others with masterfully designed gameplay loops, but all of them are great for a multitude of reasons. But there's a reason these games have stayed so evergreen in the broader cultural zeitgeist of gaming, and why they seem so present on the internet, and that is in their ability to tell innumerable stories completely unrelated to the contents of the game itself. Dwarf Fortress, as mentioned previously, is probably the game single most famous for this. Boatmurdered, for an example, is a famous save file from the 2006 video game, and as stated previously, is not part of any in-game story. Instead, it's a Let's Play chronicled on a Something Awful forum just months after the game's initial release. Posted originally by user Tourette Dog, Boatmurder was a fortress seemingly doomed to peril. It was in the middle of the, and I'm taking this directly from the author's mouth, puckered sphincter of nowhere. The surroundings were deathly hot, and being in a wild forest, the surrounding fauna was anything but hospitable. Not only was it in a difficult location, the save file was to be passed through different Something Awful users every in-game year, signaled by the beginning of spring. Of course, intentionally making the save file impossible to continue was banned, but even still, a fortress controlled by multiple people in lands such as these had little chance of extended prosperity. The story itself has been told and retold numerous times on the internet, so I won't do it a disservice by retelling it in a worse way here. Really, the important part is that within a game completely devoid of story, there is in itself a separate narrative, which proves that not only can there be more to a game story than the actual in-game diegetic lore, but that a game can tell a story outside of even the game's own physical constraints. The most obvious example of this in a popular game is Minecraft, that, as previously stated, has no actual in-game story and is one of, if not the most popular video game of all time. It's been used as a vessel for some truly incredible stories, most prominently on YouTube, and given its staying power in popular culture along with sheer popularity, has undoubtedly produced more stories than any other video game. From Paul Soares Jr.'s Survive and Thrive series and Kurt J. Mack's Farlands or Bust, to more recent attempts at pure storytelling like Wifey's incredibly popular Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist, Minecraft has been a magnificent storytelling medium ever since its release. Alternate reality game stories like Searching for a World That Doesn't Exist are incredibly well told through the medium of video games. Not only do these stories use video games masterfully to illustrate in-depth narratives, the ARGs utilize YouTube and the internet as a whole to expand upon their initial stories and turn what could be just a good YouTube video or forum post into truly masterful collaborative experiences. The single experience that I think has done this the best, though, is, of course, myhouse.wad, a mod for the ever-popular and genre-defining Doom. MyHouse.wad is a near-perfect combination of forum posts, gameplay, and puzzles into a House of Leaves-esque multimedia storytelling masterpiece. And again, to avoid spoilers, I won't really go too far into the deeper aspects, but purely from a gameplay standpoint, it's really incredible. It does things I've never seen done with the Doom engine, and has simply magnificent storytelling. It's disturbing, fascinating, and really gets its hooks deep into you. With its combination of forum posts, text files, and numerous online breakdowns and ARG elements, MyHouse.wad is simply exemplary in that storytelling in a game doesn't necessarily have to come from the game itself. Thank you so much for watching to the end. This is my first video on this channel that hasn't either been a game review or gameplay video, so it's been a little different for me to make. I have a few more videos like it planned, but the next one's probably going to be another video game review, because as of late there's really been a few video games I've been excited about. Anyway, I just want to thank you a lot for watching. I appreciate everything. Have a good one.